welcome to the Red Gauge Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Kyle. This is Josh. Today we're joined by the original damage dealer, Dani Myers Glynn.
Ooh.
Dani has totaled 560 kilos at 100 plus, 540 in the 100, and 482.5 in the 90 kilogram weight class. And she's here to share with us her story of rising through the ranks and becoming a world-class strength athlete.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Rising through
people,
this, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, for people that don't know, that is on the scale of strong. That is fucking strong.
Yeah.
Like,
it's right up there.
That's in there. So
Thank you. Thank you. I was just going to say rising through the ranks and also dropping weight classes. So like going up and down at the same time.
right. Yeah.
Right?
Doing both of them.
Yeah.
So do you want to walk us through a little bit? I like to hear people's story for how they got into sport, and maybe we'll just kind of like run from whenever you started doing sports all the way till today and see what kind of lessons we can get out of it along the way.
Definitely.
So how did you start in sport?
All right. So originally I was never like an athletic. I didn't play like soccer. I wasn't like a basketball kid. My mom put me in dance. So I was doing like tap and jazz, and I was like, I hated it. I hated wearing the leotards. I hated wearing the tights, the ballet shoes. I just hated it. And my mom was like, really wanted me to fit in this box. And I was like, it's just not me. Like, I just don't, I didn't view myself as like a ballerina. So kind of just like, I just did stuff, like throughout the years. My freshman year of high school, in 2006, well, it was a long time ago, my brother was a senior at the same time that I was a freshman. So this was like our last year to be together. He had just signed on to Eastern New Mexico to play as a fullback, Eastern New Mexico University. Yeah, very cool. And he was like, I want us to do something together our last year, like a sport. And I was like, I don't know about that. I was doing athletic training. Like the one thing that I could get out of PE, I was like, sign me up for athletic training because I don't have to run. I don't have to do anything. It counts as a athletic credit or whatever. So he was like, join the powerlifting team with me. And I was like, the what? You want me to do what with that? So I have like really vague memories of like going into the weight room. What I remember is feeling very scared. It's just a place that I didn't belong. There's a lot of big guys, and like high school powerlifting is back then was like all of the defensive team, right? Like the D line and maybe some of the O line, like just like big, huge guys. And I was like, I'm scared. Like these guys are huge. They're intimidating. Granted, they were my brother's friends, and my brother would never let anything happen to me. I was just like, I don't want to do it. I did it. There was 2 other girls on the team with me who were also seniors. I did, I think, 1 meet, and that high school powerlifting is so much different than the powerlifting I do now. I had on a bench shirt and knee wraps and like whatever a singlet was. I would never put on a bench shirt again because getting out of it was impossible. But getting it on was hard, but getting out of it was even worse. I was
just gonna say, we've had a few kids who were real interested in learning how to do equipped powerlifting, and I'm like, maybe when you grow up, like if you still want to do powerlifting after hhigh school, we can start like getting you in and out of a bench shirt, but like there's no real like modesty or boundaries or anything when you're doing equipped powerlifting.
No. Before the show started, I talked about how awkward it is even having a conversation, getting a girl in and out of an equipped. Like
yeah. I mean, I'm sure it can be done. I'm sure there's ways to do it, but I don't want to get there.
Yeah. So I did that year. I think I competed in like the 181 weight class. So I've always been like heavyweight, whatever category it was that I was in. And I remember I benched like probably like 60 pounds. I deadlifted like 240 maybe. I can't even remember what I squatted, and like in knee wraps too, right? Like it's just silly. After that, so then my brother graduated and the season was over. And I actually got my letter for being on like got my letter jacket before all my friends did because I was on the varsity team, whatever that means,
right.
For powerlifting. And he left and I did not touch a barbell again until like 2014. I was just like, I was so afraid, so intimidated to go back into the weight room without like a man kind of like protecting me. And like, I just felt like I didn't belong in the weight room. So I joined the CrossFit wave that I think a lot of people do. So 2014, I started doing CrossFit. I went through like a pretty big weight change then. Then I hurt my shoulder. I think also as a lot of people doing CrossFit. And then I know, right? Doing overhead stuff. And I was like, should I be doing this? Oh, well. Really hurt myself. And I just was like, I think I'm just gonna like call it quits. I jumped into like general fitness, just like, machines and like whatever.
This is kind of amazing that
it's
know
crazy.
the end of the story, right?
It's crazy.
So you're not going down the path of like
No.
became a super successful.
Nope.
Yeah. So a lot of times when we get people on and they had their first powerlifting meet, they were more or less into it after that. Like, did you love your first powerlifting season, or did you hate it?
I hated it because I was so like, I imagine, like, think about being a teenage girl already insecure in your body, and then you have to put on this suit that like shows every single part of your body, and you're like, great, now all the cute boys from my school or the cute boys on the powerlifting team are looking at me and probably think I'm hideous. I think I'm hideous, right? And that's the experience that I had, and I couldn't see past that. I couldn't get out of that. I think I didn't have anyone with the experience to tell me like, who fucking cares? Who cares what you look like? Yeah.
What's Yenny saying? You just got to get used to the idea that you're a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a bad bitch.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. So 2018, I met my now husband, who was actually training with Josh Gibson. And he was like, come to the gym with me. And I had this like visceral reaction of like, I don't want to go to the gym because I don't belong in the gym. I don't have a body that fits in the gym. I just don't belong there.
Which is like a horrifying thing to think that's that's the thing that a lot of people feel like. And it's very, like it's really sad that it's a barrier to entry because most of the people in the gym, especially the people who've been there a long time, don't feel that way at all, right? Like most of the people in the gym are going to be supportive and want you to be there and want you to be successful.
And almost everybody at the gym is dealing with the same insecurities. Even the ones that look good, right, are probably.
Well, and I had a desk job for a while. I for like 5 years I was just having babies and working at a desk, and I gained a bunch of weight. And I've been 270 pounds a couple times in my adult life, and there were times where I was super strong and I didn't really care. I was like, I look fine. I'm jacked as shit, But at that point, I was not jacked as shit. I actually lost a button on my pants trying to tie my shoes, and and I remember I was like, I gotta start going to the gym. And I went to the gym, and they had the mirror there that goes the whole length of the wall, right? And I was like, fuck this mirror, and I turned around and left. I was like, I had to lose like 20 pounds before I could like tolerate looking at myself, and I was like, this isn't healthy either. Like I had to do a little work on myself there. So anyway,
no, that's okay. So we get into the gym, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start doing like a 5x5, which I think is how a lot of people just like get into it. I was doing like 5x5 squat. It took me a while to start benching because I hate benching. So my deadlift and my squat had like progressed pretty far before my bench started like even, I don't even know, moving the bar. So I on my own had squatted 300 pounds, and then I think I had deadlifted like 320, and I had benched like maybe 95 pounds, something like that. And I was like, you know what? I want to do a powerlifting meet. I don't know why. I don't know what in me. I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this thing. Maybe because I had like a history of doing like powerlifting. And I was like, well, it's something that I at least kind of know. And that's when I asked Josh to start coaching me. So that was, I did 2 years on my own. And then I asked Josh to coach me in 2020. And then like a week later, I got my first program from him. A week later, the gym shut down. And I was like, what are we doing? What's happening here? So my husband was like really into Olympic weightlifting. So he found us like a CrossFit gym that was selling blocks and plates. We got like bumper plates, and we had a barbell. So we bought it and we lifted on our porch. I was living in like a fuck ass apartment. Our neighbors probably hated us, but I was out there lifting. I did not miss a workout. I lifted every single workout. I remember pulling like 275 for 10 on the porch, and I was like, I'm so strong. Like,
are you on the ground floor, or like you're in an apartment balcony?
Yeah. It was the ground floor. It was the ground floor.
All right, that's a little better, but
that would, I would have kicked me out if we were not on the ground floor doing that. Then the gyms opened back up, and I had at this point I had signed up for the Ohio State Championship through USAPL. And I remember like I still don't think I have a concept of it, but I had no concept of like strength and like how strong I was. And I remember being like, Josh, do you think I could win? And Josh was like, I don't know. There's a lot of freaks that come to like the Ohio State championship. And there were, and there are. But then like as the years went on, like I became one of the freaks at like the state championship. So it was like, oh yeah, you think you're gonna win, but you have no idea who's gonna come out from Columbus, Ohio and fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then like, okay, so we get a couple of meets under our belt, and you'll have to ask Josh one day about why he didn't make it to that first meet, but he didn't make it, and my brother got to handle me through that meet, and it was a great meet. We had fun. And then I was like, all right, I love this. This was cool. This was fun. I really enjoyed like all the training. We were working out in a like a barbell club. So I was the only power lifter in a gym of weightlifters, like Olympic weightlifters. And I was like, whatever, I'll make it work. Yeah.
Did you get an endless amount of shit for being the only power lifter?
Yes. All the time.
I wonder
They're
how
like,
many
just do
people
weightlifting.
How many people were excited they didn't know you and you were like getting ready for a heavy deadlift and they're like, holy shit, is this woman about to clean and jerk?
Yeah. Imagine. That's so funny. It was a barbell club, part of it, and then the other half was a CrossFit gym. So like I feel like any weight on the bar that's over like 225, 315 in like a gym like that, people are like, oh my God, no matter what you're doing. So yeah, it was, and I had fun. So like I had like this community, we'd built it, and then I was like, well, I think my next goal is to qualify for a nationals, like a nationals meet. Like, let's just do that. Like truly just like had no concept of like how much I needed to build, like how much strength it required. Like I was just like, I'm gonna do it. And Josh was like, okay. Like he always is kind of just like, whatever you want to do, I will support you and I will write a program that gets us there. Sometimes he does have to like lasso me and he's like, hold on, not quite there yet. We will get there. So yeah, so we trained through probably like another year and a half of meets. I qualified for nationals in 2022 at another state meet. We went to Vegas. Then you qualify at one nationals, you're essentially qualified for all of the other nationals. And at this point, I'm in 100 plus. So I was, God, we've been through so many weight class changes, like through USAPL. It was like 84 plus, 100 plus, like whatever. I was a super heavyweight.
There's probably opportunity there for anybody who's kind of newer to the sport. There's a long history of substance use in sports, and they obviously started testing in like the whatever 80s, late 80s and early 90s, and then testing wasn't really great. They'd test you at a meet and maybe they'd pick 3 of the guys at the meet to test, and it wasn't really until like 2008 that that they start doing random out of meet testing, and the testing's really good, and they archive samples for like 8 years. So if you think you're real smart, you're probably going to have a bad time in 8 years when they come take away all your medals and stuff. And so in around I don't remember what year it was, but 2000, sometime between then and like 2018, they redid all the weight classes. And so it was kind of an idea. They were just starting fresh, right? They were going to say, we have really strong people. They'll set records and they'll be able to pass drug tests, and it'll kind of renormalize the sport. And then they just changed them again because they left the IPF, right? The USAPL did. And so IPF and USAPL had some drama about testing. I'm not super up on all of it. I guess USAPL wasn't using all WADA labs, but WADA labs didn't have the capacity to handle the volume that USAPL was sending, or something like that. I don't know. But they reset the weight classes again when they left the International Powerlifting Federation, and so there's been a handful of opportunities to get in there and do some damage.
Just to be clear, I'm not doing that kind of damage. I've been drug tested a few times and I passed my drug test.
Nice. Nice. I meant damage and like setting records and stuff.
Yeah. I have done that.
You get selected for testing. That was one of my favorite things, was going and I was able to be the person that got to select who gets tested at, it was a local USAPL meet. And I was like, well, is it random? And they're like, no, you get a pick. And I was like, him for sure, right? Like that 16-year-old that just benched 405, test him.
Yeah.
And they all passed, but it was nice to be able to like, look at the delta on that person, test him.
Test him.
There's a lot of power.
Yeah.
And then I felt bad.
It always sucks too, like being picked to do a drug test, because you're like, I am so dry because I've either tried to make weight, so I've had so much adrenaline going through my body, I haven't had any water, and you just have to like sit there and wait
Sit
until
there.
you are ready to pee in a cup. Like it
Yep.
sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, oh, okay. So 100, I competed in 100 plus for about, I would say like 2 or 3 years. And then I was like, I cannot keep up with these super heavyweights.
Hmm.
I'm not very tall. I'm 5'5".
I was just gonna ask.
Um, yeah. So like not a big tall person. And a lot of the super heavyweights are, I would say like 5'10" to 6 foot, like
Very
Yeah.
just
large.
like
Large
big.
people. Right.
Yeah, again, if you're new to
Yes.
the sport, you got to get used to the idea that weight classes are height classes in disguise. So you
Yeah.
want to be
Yeah.
competing against the people who are about your same height, plus or
Right.
minus a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I mean, the girls that were like beating me, I got fifth in my last 100 plus, which was cool. But I was like, there's just no way that I can. I mean, they were beating me by like 200 kilos on their total. Like, I was like,
Right.
I can't keep up with these girls. And at that point, I think my heaviest, I was around like 113 kilos. So pretty heavy. It's about like 252 pounds. So 5'5", 252. Like my leverages were incredible. So good. My squat range of motion was just like amazing. And so one thing I miss about being big, I was just looking at old videos. Um, so I made the decision to like, let's cut down to 100 and let's just see what happens. Like I think the playing field will be a little bit more even for me. um, it wasn't, because those girls are also very strong,
Yeah.
very strong. And I placed fifth again in 100, 100. So 100 plus, I was fifth. 100, I was fifth, and I was like, all right, well, I made essentially a lateral move.
Hmm.
Um, we had fun though, and I qualified for the Arnold, which was like probably the highlight of my powerlifting journey. I'm just like, it's the most fun meet. It's so cool. Um,
Which is
and
impressive. Like qualifying for the Arnold is just
yeah.
an impressive
Yeah,
thing.
it's
Like,
huge.
I think it's actually more impressive to qualify for the Arnold than it is to qualify for nationals,
Hmm.
absolutely. Yeah.
because the dot score is
Yeah. The
higher.
dot is.
They
Yeah.
changed it a little bit this year, but yeah, like it's a lot more competitive. Um, and so the first year that I qualified, I was like, oh shit, did I make it? Like, am I kind of strong? Like, am I finally now understanding that I'm kind of strong? Um, did my first one, my first Arnold, and like just like the coolest meet. Like it's really well run. I heard you guys talking about Gino a few weeks ago, on one of the other earlier episodes, and he is just like, so like every MC needs to take notes from Gino.
Yeah.
Like he really brings something out of the crowd that is like, they need it, right? Like they couldn't give a shit like about your bench,
Just
but like somehow the crowd is still yelling.
right. The powerlifting for like it is kind of boring,
Yeah,
right? And a lot of times you get like maybe the first time you see a super, like so at a local meet when somebody's killing it, it's like, oh, Danny's back up, let's watch her.
yeah,
But like a national meet, they
Full of
just
monsters.
yeah, it's just starts with
yeah,
a monster and then it's
yes,
fatigue, monster fatigue.
yeah,
So you're just like, all right, okay, cool, 750 again. All right.
yeah,
So you need somebody like, and Gino starts screaming and you're just like, oh fuck, all right, let's go, baby.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, I
yeah,
like him. I like him a lot.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
trying to get him on. If you're watching this, we want you.
We
Gino,
want
you know what? Tag him, because he's all over Instagram.
I know. We got a plan. I got a
Yeah.
plan.
Um.
Scheming over here.
So yeah. So the Arnold, I did my first Arnold at 100. Then I did nationals again at 100, and then I was like, I'd kind of come across some like health issues that I came across my doctor with, and I was like, hey, I want to target these. So it was a decision that I made for my health, that I was like, I want to live a long time. I don't want to live like healthy for me. Like, what is healthy for my body? So my doctor was like, easy solution is to lose some weight. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I decided on a weight class. I was like, right, well, let's just cut to 90. Like, cut to 90, like as if that's easy. Like, right, like just a casual, like, what is it, 22 pounds?
Yeah.
Um, and it was hard. It was a really hard cut. Like the whole time I was like, I hate my life, because it made training really hard.
Mhm.
Right.
Because you're hungry all the time, you're not fueled. My bench immediately tanked, like immediately. You're just not fueled, and like bench has never been like my best lift. So just immediately it was like, um,
So
And
to
then
put that into perspective a little bit, because we need to get some time on this. So when
yeah.
we talk about kilos, right? You mentioned being up to 113 for the one meet and then getting down
Mhm.
below 90. So that's 51 pounds. How long
Yeah.
did you spend to lose that 51 pounds?
Yeah, to be fair, it happened across a couple of years. So I went
Okay.
from like
Okay.
100 plus, which was
Mhm.
like, I think 106 is when I was like, all right, I'm ready to cut.
Yeah.
106 because I had kind of lost some just from like moving, some lifestyle changes
Right.
unintentionally. So then 100, so 6 kilos, that's like 12 pounds. And then from 100 to 90 is another 20 pounds.
Hmm.
And that last 20 pounds I lost over a course of 6 months. But total, I would say it was about like 2.5 years that I really lost all of it. So like
So you were
I
pretty responsible about it from like a health point
yes,
of view, right? It was
yes,
sustainable and you could live with yourself and everything,
yes, yes.
but it's not great for wanting to get bigger and stronger.
Right. And
Yeah.
like it was, again, like it's fun to be big and strong. Like
Hmm.
I was at one point, like my friend Yoshi in the gym, the other day I was talking to him and he was like, I remember the first time I saw you squatting, you pause squatted 505 pounds in front of me. And he was like, I was ready to kill myself after. And I was like, and I love it. And I loved being stronger than the boys. I loved it. And I do still love it. There are some boys I'm stronger than, not very many. Um, but it was cool. Like
There are a lot of boys that you're stronger on.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
yeah,
maybe not at your gym.
Yeah, again,
But
that's
yeah,
560
if you
total.
zoom out a little bit,
yeah, you're right.
All and change.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
I in fact like for a while I would always be like, "Hey Josh, what's your best squat?" And like and then go like squat it for like a triple in the gym. Um just to give him shit.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, so like it was fun being big, but like I had really high blood pressure and like type 2 diabetes runs in my family. And I was having like some sleep apnea,
Mhm.
GERD, if you're familiar with GERD, like it's like
Heartburn and stuff.
indigestion.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
I would like wake up out of my sleep like gasping for air. I would completely stop breathing in my sleep. And I was like, hey, that's kind of scary. Like I don't think I want that
yeah,
anymore. Um
Yeah, it is
so
true that if you want to be so exceptional that you're like leaving humanity behind, that you're probably going to get to the point where working out
yeah.
becomes unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
Like the weight room's amazing. Like it's all cause mortality is improvement and stuff. But then when you decide like, oh, I want to be the strongest woman to ever walk the planet at 5'5", then all of a sudden you start putting yourself at risk.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Was like, what sacrifices do I want to make? And then
Mhm.
one day my husband was like, hey, what's your plan? And I was like, good question. I don't know. So yeah,
Die
so
on the
I,
Yeah,
platform.
because I
yeah,
mean, in one of those, right? In one of them, it's like my plan is that I'm gonna squat and bench and deadlift a lot of weight,
Hmm.
yeah,
right? But like the
yes,
other side of that's like wife, mom,
yep,
grandma, right?
yeah,
Like, and those might, with the way you're going, those seemed like they might have been
yeah,
counteracting each other a little
yeah,
bit. Like,
yeah,
so,
yeah. So,
but that is
I,
exactly why I've been excited to have you on. Is that
yay, yeah,
is because as a power lifter, right? Like you really think about it's very hard to be excited, at least in my history, as you go down weight classes.
hmm
It's like, hey, I set a new PR at this new weight class, but your brain isn't good at that. It goes, yeah, well, 100 pounds less than you did. It's
yeah,
hard to like, it's hard to convince yourself to be excited. So
yeah,
like that's a tough journey. There's lots of people that I've had to teach that. Like, dude, yeah, sure, your bench came down 30 pounds, but you're 70 pounds lighter. Like,
yeah,
if we go look at a coefficient, like you're way stronger, but
hmm
it's still hard. Like, no, I'm not. I bench 275 and now I bench 245. It's like, you're kind of right, but you're not right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's such a mind fuck. It
yeah,
really is like a tornado up there all the time. But I'm like, well, I used to be able to squat. My best meet squat was 485, and I'm like, I barely squatted 400 at the Arnold, and I'm like, I'm a
right.
weak loser. Like that's what I
Yeah,
am. And it comes and goes, right? Sometimes like I feel that way, and then sometimes I'm like, but you've worked really hard to get here, and like you said, like let's go look at a coefficient, and you're still
right.
strong. Like, come on,
Yeah.
like be real. So I get it, I understand. And it's like again, like when you're losing weight and like everything in the gym feels bad, you're just like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I even lifting? It's a lot of that. What really helped me through that was having like Josh, my coach, like there as like, I mean, every time I would have a bad session, I would be like, I hate lifting and I want to drop out of this meet. And he would be like, I understand. and he would never try to like talk me out of the feelings that I was having. And then when I was like through having them, he'd be like, all right, and here's our game plan moving forward. You need to trust me. You need to trust the training. You need to trust the programming. And that's hard, but it always pays off. Like he is right that like the reason that I have stayed with him for 5 years as my coach is because he program's good. Like he's a good coach, you know, like he's gotten me really strong. We've been to 3 nationals. I'm about to go to my fourth at the end of July. I've been to the Arnold twice. Do you know what I mean? Like I have state records, and I'm like, part of that is me, but a lot of it is Josh, like
Right.
from his like. So I think that like having that kind of like sounding board really helps like unfuck that part of my brain of
Mhm.
like having someone to be like, yeah, but you're still strong. Like it may look different, but you are still strong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's hard. It's, it really all sports are developmental sports.
mhm.
So, the other thing, like the other part of that thing is like it's hard to even maintain strength when you're in a deficit. Like if you settle at 90 or you settle at a different weight class, once you park yourself, your numbers will probably start creeping back up
Yeah.
again once you're
Yeah.
not in a deficit anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so but having that, like you said, it took you 2 years to lose that weight. And so for 2 years, just going in and eating a shit sandwich every day and not having fun is a pretty big commitment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now there's lots of good things, like lifting weights makes you feel good and it's fun to
Mhm.
see your friends and it's good to have stuff like for your own mental health, just to have routines and be engaged and stuff. But it definitely is, you got to have like kind of, you got to be dispassionate about your results for a little bit, so that you
Yeah.
can, and just stay passionate about the process, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And it is fun. And Josh is really good at like reminding me about like rep PRs. Like that's not something that I ever cared
Right.
about before. And he's
Mhm.
like, yeah, but it's really cool that you did 150 for 7 on your back squat or whatever. And that is something that's like, and he's like, and you did it at a body weight that you have never done that before, which is
Mhm.
like a good reminder of like, right, you're still strong. You are
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
strong.
And if
Um,
anybody's about to embark on that journey, it doesn't always happen. It's not as you lose body weight, you're just going to lose strength. Like sometimes I know the last time I did a meet, I did a cut, and for like 15 pounds, I held pretty
mhm.
well. Like I was like I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not losing any strength.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then like that
I'm
last four
invincible.
pounds, it just was like going off a cliff. Like it
Yeah.
was an amazing amount of strength loss in that last
Yeah.
little bit. And I don't know if it was just the longevity of being malnourished or whatever. Not maybe not
Yeah.
malnourished is the wrong
In a
thing, but
deficit.
in a deficit,
Yeah.
pretty deficit. Uh,
Yeah.
or what it was, but it was just like that last week. It was just like I
Yeah.
just lost all my strength. I was like, no,
Yeah.
maybe I don't need to pay to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really
Yeah.
do it. So
Yeah.
Um, so when you're, as you're moving down in weight classes and stuff, was there things that you found were really beneficial for, making it to the meet and not feeling like that, like not feeling deflated, not feeling like you had no strength? Like, did you have meets that you went into that you felt like you hit a wall and they weren't productive, and then like strategies that you had to at least show up and feel okay?
Yeah, I would say my most recent meet, the Arnold, that I did in March, a couple months ago, God, a month ago. What is time? Anyways, I I failed almost every single top set going into that meet. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I hate it. Like I was truly like, I'm gonna drop. I was like, what if I drop out of this meet? Like what do I lose? And then I was like, well, I can't drop out because then I can't qualify for nationals. And so I had this like, so like part of it was like that I was like, well, I have to because I've made this commitment and I have to stick to the commitment and I have to get my qualifying total to go to nationals at 90. Um, or I have to do like a local meet and go through meet prep again. And it's like a really short time period. And I was just like, I don't want to do
right,
that. So part of it was like holding myself accountable of like, you did this, you made this commitment, you have to do it. Um, the other part was having people around me that knew what I was going through, knew my goals, my meet goals, to like wallow in the pits with me temporarily and be like, this shit sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
And then be like, cool, and let's get out of this and like keep going. Um, at one point in my training, like I think I failed. It was like 185, so like 407, like a 407 squat. And I have squatted 400 1,000 times by this point, and I was like, I'm weak. And I sent Josh a message, and I was like, I don't even know what to feel. I don't know how to feel. And he said this thing to me, and I was like, he's so stupid for saying this. But he was like, well, until we get there, like, undying optimism. Like, I believe in you, and I believe that you're going to make it and you're going to do well. And I was like mad that he said it at first. I was like, what does he know? He's never done a powerlifting meet blog before. Like, he doesn't get it. He's never been a woman. Then I was like, no, but he's right. So like that was really helpful to me to have, like I said, kind of like an outside perspective of like to help me zoom out and see the big picture of like, it sucks right now. Trust the taper, trust the peak. Like, you're gonna do good. Maybe not great, but we did good. Um, what was the original question you asked me about like
Oh,
what?
like if there were strategies you found that got you through a meet
Yeah.
feeling better while you're in the deficit, while you're
Yeah.
making the steps down, has there been meet approaches that felt good and meet approaches that didn't feel, or maybe I should say
Yeah.
meet approaches where it felt productive at the end and meet approaches where it didn't feel productive at the end?
Yes, 100%. Being at weight like a month before the meet.
Yeah.
So making weight this last meet, I was like up until the last minute. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Like, even with the water cut, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I actually ended up hiring a dietitian because I was like, I think I need extra help. Like, I just don't know. And I didn't want to have to do like a severe water cut. I didn't like, I wanted to live at this weight. The reason that I cut was for health reasons. So I'm like,
Right.
I want to be there. The last times I cut, I had made weight within like a month and a half out, and all I had to do was like cruise and just like refeed myself. So that was really helpful. And now moving forward, I'm like, okay, now I know that to be at weight beforehand is what works for me. I know that there are people that do like, they cut like 10 pounds, like water cut. I'm like, that is insane. I would feel bad, very bad.
I would
So
tear every tendon in my body if I tried to do a 10-pound
Yeah.
water cut.
Especially in like in any sport that's like the weighing in right before. I can't remember if USAPL is like 1 or 2 hours.
No, yeah, it's a 2 hour.
Yeah.
It's like that is not enough time.
No.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's something that, another scaffolding opportunity. Weight cuts, like there's some sports where you weigh in the day before, you can do 24-hour weigh-ins, and some sports where you do 2-hour weigh-ins. And even on 24-hour weigh-ins, you're not going to get all the way rehydrated before your event if you're really significantly dehydrated for the thing. It's like a real risk factor for like
most of the
fighters
sources
and
like
concussions and
for
stuff.
full on rehydration, what we found when we started the business, like 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
For those benefits, right?
Yeah.
Like so sure, you can get water and a little bit and electrolytes, right?
Yeah.
Sure, yes. But like you said, especially for anything where we're getting concussions and stuff like that water up there. And
and our like muscular skeletal system is like viscoelastic. So if it's warm and it's well hydrated, it's more pliable and it's harder to damage. And you take that moisture out, and if it's colder, then you're at higher risk for getting little strains and sprains and stuff, which are no fun. So on a 2-hour weigh-in, your ability to cut weight to make a weight class is pretty limited. Like you can't do a huge amount and be effective. It's just not going to be a good time.
Yeah. I remember I did when I competed at my last nationals. It was in Salt Lake City. So Columbus, Ohio, and Salt Lake City are very different climates. Number one. I also competed. I was in prime time, so I didn't weigh in until like 1 p.m. And I was like pretty close to like making my weight class, but I was like so terrible. It's like the one thing I get real bad anxiety about is like, not hitting depth and not making my weight. Because then you just have to lift as a guest lifter. Anyway, so Josh was like, okay, don't eat past like 7 p.m. We'll try and get all your fluids out, like whatever. I was so dehydrated that day that when I went to pull my last deadlift, my back cramped so bad that I was like, that wasn't worth it. Cause I weighed in like, it was like 6 pounds under. And I was like, why did I do this? Like, what was the point of this? Like, I threw my last deadlift because I was so nervous about this, and it would have been fine. But so that small amount that I did and like multiply it by 10, I can't imagine what people go through to like, the abuse their body takes.
And
So I'm trying to make weight.
Unfortunately, you see, we talk about like finding freaks in different weight classes, but they're all like, there are people that are freaky in every way,
including water cuts,
water cut and rehydration. Right? Like there's a UFC fighter right now, Alex Pereira, who's like classic on like cutting an insane amount of weight, like an unreal amount of weight. He's a very, very large man, and he cuts a lot of weight, but there's obviously something about him that allows him to pull it off and put it on without much effect. The danger of that is then you get people that see that, try it themselves, and then it's
suffer
like
kidney failure.
So you gotta, I don't know. it's almost stupid advice to give because people are going to try to.
Yeah.
If you see that at 181, sorry, kilo people, our state does pounds still. So, if you're if you're in the 220 or if you're in the 198 weight class, and you see that at 181, like that boy or that girl I could beat, it's hard to convince them like, yeah, but you don't need to go down there, right? We've dealt with that before. Like, are you in here to win a state championship for our levels? Like, and normally we ask like, do you want the award or do you want to actually like get stronger? And some kids are like, okay, I just want to get stronger. It's like, all right, then quit looking at your body weight. Let's go up. And this is normally an argument for the smaller kids, but and then some are just like, no, I want first place. So like 3 years they didn't get any stronger. They just kept cutting and trying to work out. It's almost like they're avoiding lifting to get any bigger. But they won a state championship and no one can ever take that from them.
Yeah.
But we bitch about it all the time. So.
Yeah.
Sometimes you root for somebody else to just show up and be like, can somebody beat this kid? So I promise I don't root against my own kids. It sounds like I do, but sometimes I do.
I won't tell them.
Life lessons, man.
It's about life lessons. So, this last Arnold was the Arnold that you went to where you were feeling like you were trying to make weight right at the end and feeling real rough about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
The cut was just like, I shouldn't even call it a cut. It was just like, I just wanted to lose weight. Cause like a cut is like, I gotta lose 2 kilos, right, for this meet. It was not a cut. I was losing 22 pounds, which is a lot of weight. And it started like real slow. I had done one, like a kind of like some cuts on my own. And I was like, I can do this. It'll be fine. And it was just like moving slow. For the first 3 months, it was fine. And then I was like, oh shit, I only have 3 months and I still have like 12 more pounds to lose. Like, I'm not going to make it. So I started working with Michael Horner, who is a registered dietitian. And the first thing he told me was like, how many steps are you getting a day? And I was like, oh, crazy. I never thought of that. I was like, I never thought of walking more to get there. Which was like
is he used to doing with athletes?
Yeah. Yes, he does primarily like weight class sports. Yeah. So like
nice. You
he
didn't
gets
just
it.
freak a dietitian
No. And he does Olympic weightlifting himself. So like he gets it. Okay. So yeah, that was like the first thing he told me was like, hey, why don't you try like just walking a little bit more and see what happens? And like immediately, like weight just like, it was almost like I started losing too fast. And he actually had to start like increasing my calories. And he was like, stop walking. Like first it was 12,000 steps. Then he pulled me to 10. Then towards like the last like few weeks, it was 8. Like he pulled me back to like 8,000. And it was insane.
Are you the kind of person that does 12,000 steps or you do 12,000 steps on each leg?
Maybe 6,000 on each leg.
Oh,
not even. No, I have become like a 10,000 is like my everyday now. Because now I just feel like a slug if I don't. I'm like, God, I'm such a lazy piece of shit. I got to get outside and do something. And Michael was like, it's good for your recovery. Like you'll feel better after lifting. And I was like, fine, I'll do things that are good for me. Yeah. So we got up to like the meet and it was like maybe 2 weeks before. And I weighed myself and I was like, oh my God, I broke 200 pounds. Like I was like 199.8. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make it. I was like, I did it. And that was like the one thing I was really nervous about was not making weight for that meet. I still felt like shit though, because I was hungry and I had been in a deficit for 6 months, like total is how long it took me, which is still not a long time to lose that much weight.
No.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't want to skip over because it sounds like some people are going to be like, I'm just going to add a couple of steps.
Yeah.
Like how strict was that diet? Like 12,000 steps is good. Everybody should be taking 10 to 12,000 steps. But like that, I went to school to be a dietitian, and I know that there's got to be more to that equation than just
100%.
You did your steps. Like I bet you were slaying a pretty strict diet.
And I don't like I will not like I don't want anyone to listen to this and be like, oh, and that's what I'm gonna do for myself, because I did it and I was like, I don't think this is
you hated
healthy, like long-term healthy. I started at 1,750 calories. It was fine. And then when the weight wasn't coming off, I dropped down to 1,500 calories.
Right.
So to do 1,500 calories a day and a strength training sport was brutal. It was
Right.
horrible. It was really hard. That's around the
Yeah.
time when I was like failing all of my lifts and just being like, I hate it here. I can't eat, can't lift. I'm not having fun. Um,
Yeah,
and
there's
and also like my social life like crashed too because all my friends were like, come out for a drink with us. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I got no budgets for a beer.
Yeah, I cannot do that.
Yeah, I
So
think like a lot of the like bodybuilders that I know are real big on diet breaks, you know, like
mhm,
do 12 weeks because you'll lose your goddamn mind if you're
yeah,
doing 6 months or nine
yeah,
months or whatever.
yeah,
So like do 12 weeks and then go to maintenance for a little bit and then do 12 weeks and go to maintenance for a little bit
yeah,
just for like the sake of your own sanity because it's hard to
yeah.
do. And at 1,500 calories, so you're probably what like 1,000 calories below your maintenance
hmm
like
hmm
ballpark.
hmm
And when you get 1,000 calories below your maintenance, you start looking at the plate and it just doesn't look like there's, or the Tupperware or whatever. And you're like, why is this Tupperware so
Yeah,
small? How
yeah,
do I get all my food in this?
yeah. It's
Like
like two
it
grains
mess-
of rice and thinking about chicken. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
You
yeah.
just cook a meal and then smell it and throw it in the
Yeah,
garbage.
well, that
Like,
was good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Once I started working with Michael, though, he was like, "Hey, this is insane. Like, don't ever do this again." And so he actually kind of like staggered my calories. So in the days I was lifting, I'd get a little bit more. He'd give me some more carbs.
Mm,
And then he was like, when in the future, if you want to lose weight again, he was like, I will never ever put you at that low of calories. And it's just like, I didn't know. I was just
mm.
like, well, I have to lose weight. And I know that
right.
calories in and calories out is kind of how it works. Not always, but
Yeah,
most
it's
of the time.
90%, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thermodynamics
And
work.
like, yeah. And so yeah, he was like, we're not, I will never do this to you. Like, if we do this again in the future, which like gave me a lot of like comfort because I was like, this feels insane. Like, I mean, like I said, just going crazy. And like, Josh did try, he helped me a little bit and he was like, why don't you take a week off? And I was like, at that point, I was so obsessed with like this scale and like
Hmm.
seeing my weight go. I was like, if I see my weight go up, I'll crash out. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll jump into traffic. I was
Yeah.
like, I can't handle it.
It's very, very just like we talked about, and it's almost every time we've had a successful athlete like that level of losing weight is a healthy thing,
Mhm.
and
For most people.
sometimes sure, right,
Caveat.
Yeah.
for most people, uh, going from like most of us, like from a heavier weight and overweight. I don't think I've ever been anything less than overweight. Even when I was thinner, I was still somehow overweight, but losing weight should be a healthy thing, but it can turn into an unhealthy thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like even if the weight coming off, just mentally, and like you said, like seeing the weight come up 1 pound, just derailing everything. Like that's super, super truthful. A lot of times when I tell people weight class sport's different, but if you're just trying to lose weight, just put the freaking scale away
Yeah.
and just look at your body. Do you like
Yeah.
what it looks like? Then you're doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who the hell cares? The weight is a made up construct. You don't want to lose weight. You just want to look better most of the time,
Yeah.
right? In a weight class sport, it's totally different. You got to actually be paying attention to that. But yeah, you don't want to get yourself into a situation where it becomes a
Yeah.
bad mental thing.
Yeah. So I gotta ask. So I've done a few big cuts in my life because I eat my feelings,
Me too.
and so I gain weight, and then I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to die when my kids are young, so I should lose some weight, right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing it right now. I'm losing weight. I run into the same problem where when I'm in a deficit, my training actually like maybe I should keep my mouth shut and not say this, but I don't really seem to notice if I'm in a deficit or not when I'm training, as long as I like eat enough protein and I'm taking creatine and I really like the HMB as a supplement. I know that if you get enough protein, it's not really supposed to make any difference, but it seems to be like magic for me, and I don't know why. But and then eating enough salt, right? Enough salt helps a lot with like energy levels and stuff when you're in a deficit. But creatine and salt both cause my weight to go up. And then when I do cardio, my weight always goes up. Whenever I start doing cardio, I'll gain like 8 or 10 pounds.
Mm.
And I assume it's like blood volume or something. I don't know why I gain 8 or 10 pounds, but just in like 2 weeks, I'll just gain like 10 pounds whenever I start doing cardio. Did you have any, like, has there been steps like that for you? Like, do you take creatine as a part of your regular thing? Like, if you adjust your supplements, does it drive you crazy that, your weight fluctuates with the supplement and you don't want it to? Like, have you had those battles too?
Yeah, this is gonna be like a fun a girly thing to talk about. I
Yeah.
take a non-progesterone birth control pill.
Okay.
And so before I was taking a progesterone pill, which is a form of estrogen. So
Right.
I take it because I have PCOS, which is a like cyst in my ovaries. They're
Yeah.
not harmful, right?
But they're
It's
uncomfortable and
yeah, and it's like I have irregular periods and like whatever. I take this to regulate that.
Mm-hmm.
The pill every 28 days, I'm like, what's happening to me? Like, I'm like, I had the same amount of carbs I had yesterday. I'm like,
Right.
oh, it's because it's
Right.
time for my cycle to start. Um, and that makes me insane, number one. I didn't start taking creatine until recently, which I know is insane to hear from like a strength athlete.
Especially
But
one in a deficit.
yeah, I honestly, like, I just didn't know. And like, I feel like people have told me, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Recently Michael was like, my dietitian was like, you don't take creatine? And I was like, no. And he was like, yeah, you probably need to take it every day until you die. And I was like, all right, cool. So now
But
I have been taking it.
it's just interesting because a lot
Yeah.
of probably hasn't hit you much, but I know for us, there's just still like a hangover from like the 80s and 90s where it was like everybody was very against creatine,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll still hear stuff where it's like, it's crap, and you're just gonna gain 20 pounds of water weight. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right, well, they have studied it again since 86
About 1 million times.
Yeah.
Super safe.
Yeah.
It's good for muscles. It's good
Yep.
for brain. It's
Yep.
good for like it actually has health benefits aside
Yeah.
from just training. Like it's
Yeah.
not a there's no
Right.
there's no real
The
downside.
aging population
Yeah.
should have it. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
And
just-
that's literally word for word what he told me. Like, he
Yeah.
was like, you should take it. And the reason I told him I hadn't been taking it is exactly what we're talking about, is like, I've always heard that it makes your body hold more water weight, and that's not something that I can handle. Like, I can't handle seeing the scale go up right now.
Right.
And I've been taking it for about a week now. I'm already seeing like the scale go up a little bit, and I was like, fat. Like, I'm getting fat. And he told me beforehand, he was like, hey, it'll go up, but it'll come back down, like it'll even out, like don't worry about it. And I'm like, but it's going up.
but it is going up. Like,
What are we doing
yep,
here?
we did
Yeah.
cover that.
Yeah. Is it a tenable strategy to like wait until that week on your birth control cycle and then start taking creatine so
So
they
you
go
Oh my
up
God.
together? You
So
know
you
what I
can
mean?
Maybe.
Birth control.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. That's
know.
probably double it up.
Yeah. And then I'm all feeling bloated from the creatine, bloated from my period. Like, I don't know about that. We'll see. I mean, I already started it, so like there's no turning back now. Like, I've
Yeah,
already, you know, like it's fine.
It'll be the new normal.
It's just a new
Yeah, it's totally fine. So though I would say like those two things, like every single month, like, or I especially like the birth control, like it's crazy that like I've been taking a pill birth control. I was diagnosed when I was 16.
Mhm.
So for 16 years I've been taking a pill that changes, you know, periods too, but like makes me hold more water. And like to see that is like, okay, what did I do in my diet? Like, what's wrong with what I did this week when it's exactly the same thing that I did last week, more or less the same thing that I did the week before.
Right.
It's just like a hard thing about being a woman in a weight-based sport.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. It's like, shit, man, there's probably months where it's like, why is it this week
Yeah.
that we have to weigh in?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're putting yourself up against it by an extra couple of pounds. You
I
know?
was
Yes.
just going to ask if you've ever tried. I mean, because I'm stupid, so this is the kind of thing I would have done 100%. I don't mean to imply that you're stupid if you've also
Yeah.
done it. That wasn't but I would 100% be like, okay, my meet's on October 8th, follicular phase. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be trying to dial that thing in
Yeah.
so that I would show up and feel good. But I don't know if that causes any kinds of issues or anything, you know?
I
wouldn't even do
haven't-
any
yeah.
research about it.
I haven't done it. And like, again, I don't suggest that anyone does this, but I have skipped the week of just like not the non-period pills, or the period pills, I guess, to just go straight into the next one. Cause I was like, I'm not dealing with that. And I think it was the week of my first nationals. Like, I was just like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to, not that like my weight wasn't a concern at that time, like what I weighed in at, but I was like,
still at a big meet having to deal with that.
Yeah, it sucks. Your
Not
back
something I've had
hurts,
to
you're
deal with,
cramping.
but
Yeah, your belt fits different. You're like, oh, I look like shit in my singlet. Yeah, it's hard.
And that's, you know, we've talked about that too. Look good, feel good, lift good. You know, like,
We had a friend of ours as a girls wrestling coach, and she was saying the difference between the boys and the girls teams was the boys have to wrestle well to feel good, and the girls have to feel good to wrestle well. And so if they don't show up feeling cute, they're gonna have a bad wrestling match. And it was like Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. Do you? You do your hair
No.
and makeup before you go for a big look.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on my hair.
Yeah.
I put the cummerbund on under the singlet.
Yeah. It's a look. Something. Yeah. I can relate to that. I do, like, I spend the time before, I don't care what time I weigh in, I will wake up beforehand to blow dry my hair and curl it, put my makeup on, and like go weigh in pretty. Number one, because like, right, look good, lift good. But also I'm like, they're gonna be taking my pictures, and I do not want to look like Shrek while I'm lifting. So put some makeup on that.
I love that.
It's gonna
Yeah.
get out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's the one that's gonna get picked up too. You'll like
Exactly.
be
Yeah.
on that
Like if
cover.
yeah, there'll be 900 pictures of you looking fresh, and they'll get the one where you like emergency had to weigh in, still with your hair all messed up from going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
jackasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to roll back a little bit because we had some things there that I think there might be some good conversation about before we get into what you're doing in the future. But let's go all the way back to your high school, powerlifting.
Oh, good, because I had one question too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice. We're gonna double it up then.
rolled on.
2 questions at the same time. Get ready.
I'm ready.
Probably just one and then the other, actually. But so you went through the phase. I had a friend who told me this years after that. She said that she had wished she had done powerlifting all through high school. She really admired the people who did it. She really wished that she had done it, but she was always super scared about going in the weight room. And it was kind of ironic because a bunch of the biggest and strongest kids in the weight room were like really good friends with her, and so it was like we could have shown you how to do everything. It wouldn't have been a big deal, right? What advice do you have for somebody who's young and is thinking about, it's always scary doing something new. So like, I wouldn't necessarily associate the new thing with, that it's the weight room specifically that's scary. It's always scary doing new stuff, right? But what would you tell, a young lifter, if you could go talk to the young damage dealer, Dani Myers Glynn, and give her some advice? Like, what would you tell her about getting started in the weight room?
I would tell her to find a friend and go take a friend. And it becomes like you and a friend doing this together. Because it's easier to do something when you have someone near you that you trust. Because if you fail and you look stupid in front of someone that like really loves you and like really supports you, like it doesn't matter. You kind of fail together and you're like, all right, well, we did it. And you really only need that person with you for maybe like the first 3 months. And then you're confident enough to do it on your own. That's kind of like how I got back into the gym, is like having my husband with me, like really helped me like not feel so out of place. Um, and then I was like, oh, and I'm badass on my own. Like I don't need him. So it just like is like that initial like confidence building stage. I would also say like, who fucking cares? At the end of the day, like you're gonna live your life based on what other people think about you, when maybe in 3 years you're never going to see that person. I can't tell you the amount of people in high school that I no longer talk to, that I was afraid of what they thought of me, that I wish I would have powerlifted for all 4 years of high school, because maybe I could have competed at Worlds by now. And I think a lot of it was I was so afraid of what I thought people would think of me, of like, oh, this fat girl who, thinks that she's something or someone because she's in the weight room or squatting or whatever. Fuck you, I am someone. Right? Like I made a name for myself. Like I did it. No matter what anybody thought about me or whatever box someone tried to put me in. And I want to throw away the idea of strength and femininity not existing together, because they don't cancel each other out. It's not like you're strong and then all of a sudden all of your feminine qualities go away, because like being feminine is not hair and makeup, it's not jewelry, it's not pink. Femininity is being soft and caring. It's like compassion, it is empathy, it's kindness, things like that. It is what makes you feminine. And strength exists in both masculine and feminine traits, like qualities. And so Like, I wish that I had someone back then telling me, like, shaking me by my shoulders and being like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to be strong and feminine. Like, you can do
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, you're born with muscles. They aren't the domain of men,
That's
right?
right. That's
Your
right.
body
Yeah.
belongs to you. It's your show, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah.
at least, like there definitely has been more women like you expressing that to the younger generations.
Yeah.
Like I've seen, like so I've been at the high school. I've done it. I guess this would be my 11th year. And like when we started, it was kind of like you had said. There was one or two girls in the weight room,
Yeah.
and now it's pretty common. Like girls, it's definitely just become a normalized thing. Not necessarily powerlifting, but just lifting and being
Yeah.
okay. I rarely get people complaining that they don't want to get bulky or anything. The
Yeah.
girls just lift, and a lot of times they lift a lot harder than the boys. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
no, you keep going.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that it is like, if I would have had the same confidence that I had now back then, I think I would have like recruited, like rallied girls in my school to like come lift with me, like join the powerlifting team. And like the strength that I get from powerlifting, like the physical strength, fuels like the emotional and like the mental strength that I have. And I want all girls to experience that and feel that and understand like what a tool it can be to build like the future of like how you live your life and how you present yourself, how you go into like interviews and into colleges and going to give speeches, like things like that. Like it is just so powerful. And I wish that someone would have told me that back then, like, hey, you're gonna feel this way, and in 12 years you're gonna feel this way. So I want all girls to feel that now.
Yeah. Nobody wants like. It's funny, that you were worried about being judged and everything, but then when you take a step back, does anybody ever think to themselves like, I want to live the most pedestrian life possible?
Right.
Like, I just want to go through the motions and die at 75 and like not have done anything. Nobody wants to do that. Like, everybody wants to. There's something that everybody wants to get out of life, right? And the only way to do it is to not be ordinary. Like, the only way to do it is to be an abnormal, to do an abnormal thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, just go out there and, bust ass in the weight room.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do.
Yeah.
I'll fight about it.
Yeah.
The first one, and it's been a long time, so you probably don't remember. But was there any, just like when you went to your 9th grade powerlifting meet, was there just monsters? I guess everybody probably seemed like monsters, but like, is there anybody you remember that was like, holy crap, went on to lift or anything? Like do you remember that at all?
My brother was a monster. He was like one of the reasons that I was like, all right, powerlifting is kind of cool. He was a fullback, but he was like a pretty, I'd say like maybe he was a bigger fullback. I wanted to say small, but like, and he's gonna listen to us and be like, I can't believe you called me small. He must have been squatting like 600 pounds back then, and he was like maybe like 180 to 200 pounds, and like, he's wearing knee wraps, but I'm like, that's crazy.
That's
Like, for an 18-year-old kid to be squatting that, and then he got recruited into school. So I remember that, and I remember her name was Danielle Upshaw, and I will remember her forever. She had, to me back then, I was like, oh my gosh, she's squatting over 300 pounds. She's the strongest woman on earth. She's so strong. And she was like the icon of like the women's powerlifting team. So like I remember Danielle being like incredibly strong, and my brother, and I'm sure there were other really strong people, but it was so long ago that like that's all I remember. Yeah.
God. My brain. When you were talking, I came up with 2 more questions that were just bangers.
They were bangers.
Yeah,
they were good questions.
We would have probably got 1,000 more.
Yeah.
Subscribers just from those questions.
Those good questions will push everybody in there.
Did your brother do any more powerlifting?
He did not. He went on to bodybuilding.
Okay.
And like he's still strong, but like he won't do it.
What about your husband? So you were talking about like you were like, I don't need my husband to lift. Does he still do anything, or did you just take that mantle?
Yeah,
one of my favorite things in the weight room is when a woman starts lifting, and I've been blessed with very strong girls, and watching a girl set up like on squat, and then the weights start to go up, and watch the boy pack up and just leave the gym. It's one of my favorite fucking things, and I always know it's coming because I'll be like, okay, I know he only squats like 300 pounds. And like if it's like Yenny, it's like, all right, I know she's going to like 4:30 today, so it's like watch it like slowly go up, and then he'll start noticing and be like, what the fuck, just pack his shit up. Go home. It's probably not a nice thing to do, but it's funny to me. So
Yeah. He does not. He does like general fitness. So like we have like a very small like home gym, and he just like lifts in our home gym.
well, which is fine.
Yeah, yes. And like it suits him, it's what he needs. And also, I could not imagine two of us, two competitors in this house with how insane I get like towards a meet. Like two of us, absolutely not. So like one of us has to be like the normal one that's like, I'm just gonna go for a walk and do like some light squats in the garage. And then there's me that I'm like, I spent 3 hours at the gym today. And I still need 80 grams of protein. So what are we gonna do about that?
Fighting over the last bit of protein
Yeah.
powder, like
You got all the
Yeah.
canned chicken out of the pantry.
That's it. Exactly right.
So we had Logan Chapman on. So if you don't know who Logan is, if you're listening to the show, go watch that episode. It's a great episode. But Logan did 23:55, 1,035 squat or something crazy. I forget exactly what he did, but
1,030 reps.
1,030 reps.
Yeah.
And then 1,005 in knee sleeves or 1,008 in knee sleeves, something like that. He talked about for years, all he wanted to do, like, he'd leave jobs, like all he could do was eat, sleep, think, breathe, powerlifting. How, from a scale of 0 to 11, how insane about powerlifting are you? Like, how far are you on that continuum, do you think?
I would say like 10.75.
Nice.
Like even when I'm doing like my other hobbies, which are like sit down type hobbies, so like cozy gaming, I read, I crochet, like even those things, I'm like, okay, and if I total this, then I can do this, and then I qualify for this, and then I'll text Josh and be like, hey, do you think I could do this rep, like, set for this? And he's like, go to bed, like, what? So like, yes, I talk to everyone about it all the time. My family, I think, is also as obsessed with like my competing as I am too. Like my mom hasn't missed a meet. She's been to every single meet. She lives in Texas. She will fly to anywhere in the country to watch me
That's
compete.
awesome.
Yeah, so like to have people around me that also like give a shit about it and care about it and are interested in like my goals and like what, like what's coming next fuels that, maybe in a bad way. Like maybe it's bad that maybe they should maybe like, hey, don't come to any of my future meets. Um
No, you're a
yeah,
bad bitch. You gotta get used to
yeah.
it, right?
Yes. It's cool to like have people that are also just as into it. My best friend lifts with me. She's my training partner. We lift together probably 3 out of my 4 training days a week. I actually was like, hey Josh, should I go to 5 days? And he was like, if you want to, like, what would you spend another day? We can get the same amount of work in. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I could do one more day. So I
Nice.
feel like I'm always thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, he just talked about that on the last episode. Was like, if it's not, I think he was talking about you. Like, if it's not broke, don't fuck with
Yeah.
it. If
Yes.
it's still
Yes.
once it stops working, then sure, maybe we'll try that
Yeah.
out. But if it's
Yeah.
working, even if you don't understand why the hell it's working, just don't fuck with the system.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I actually remember him saying, like, I did do the same program for about 3 years.
Uh-huh.
It was the same fucking program. And I never got bored of it. I was like, hell yeah, I know what to expect. Until
right.
recently did it change, and so
I've been doing the same program for 10 years. It's you get phenomenally strong, tear something, and then rehab, and then do it again.
yeah.
That's been my program. I don't think it's
Yeah.
a good one. I'm trying to make some adjustments. I'm
Yeah.
trying to avoid that
Yeah.
Get
tearing
that
something.
tear part out of there.
Yeah.
You stop programming that part.
Well, I mean, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so rolling back in time again. Get
Yeah.
us through. I'm sure there's some more good lessons in here. The original return to fitness was the CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And then you tore your shoulder apart. Yeah. Okay. So, there's a lot of things I really like about CrossFit. Like, I like that there's some weightlifting, and I like that you do some cardio, and I like that
Mhm.
it's group oriented, that you do it with people and stuff. It does, suffer the issue of like we're gonna do really high reps with really complicated movements, and injuries happen when demand exceeds capacity, and it's pretty easy to get into a spot where you're demanding too much when you're doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What were some takeaways that you had from that experience that you think are worth sharing, or do you have any?
About CrossFit, about just like my time in CrossFit.
Yeah, that the type of training, the environment. Like, what were things that you liked about it? Things you wouldn't do if you were doing it again?
Yeah, I don't
Things
know
you
if you
would
can.
do if you were doing it
Yeah,
again?
yeah. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't like cardio. So like, there was a lot of running, and I was like, I'm really strong, but I'm really slow, and I don't want to do that. So I
Uh,
don't think I would ever like. My little brother the other day was like, "Will you run with me?" And I was like, "No,
no.
no, I will not. I'll walk fast with you. I will do that kind of cardio. Running, no." So I never liked that. About that, and I learned that about myself, that I was like, okay, if I'm going to stick with something, it has to be something that I really enjoy doing. That I'm
Absolutely.
not like, right, like, fuck, like we're running again today, like that really sucks. So finding like what was right for me, whether it was like I get my 10,000 steps in, and then like my doctor prescribed like 40 minutes of like quick walking, and so that fits into like my 10,000 steps and also 40 minutes.
Yeah.
um I would never put myself through something like that again because I just hated it. um
I think that's a
uh,
really like all by itself, that's a huge takeaway
yeah.
because a lot of times people have in their minds this idea of what a good program is or like what ideal training is. And really you can slice that cake a lot of different ways, right? Like 10 or 15 minutes of walking, just 10 or 15 minutes of walking a day will have huge positive impacts for your health. And then, you can do I like studies start to show so like anybody who's read enough sports science, you get really used to this it's called a logarithmic curve. It starts really fast and then it slows down and it doesn't grow so much as you get more of whatever the thing is. And so cardio and weightlifting and everything are kind of the same way. Huge amount of benefit for a bit, and then the more and more you do, the less benefit you get. And so, like maybe it's just walking 10 or 15 minutes a day and you lift for 2 hours a day, or maybe it's you just lift for 2 hours a week and you jog for an hour a day. Like there's a lot of ways to like slice the pie and find the things that you like. Don't feel like
Mhm.
you're penned in, right?
Yeah.
If running wasn't your thing, but you don't mind walking and you love lifting weights, like that's a phenomenal spot to
Yeah,
be.
find
Yeah.
find the thing that you'll do
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it always made me, maybe my theme is like, I don't like to be told what to do unless I'm paying someone to do it, I guess. But like, don't put me in a box. Like, don't tell me that I have to go run in between my squats. That sucks.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't like that, but I did like, the getting strong part. Um, Something else that I really loved about it was the community. So it's an open gym essentially, and there was a bunch of people from that neighborhood that I lived in, that I don't lift in that gym anymore, but I'm still friends with a lot of them. So like I still keep up with them. Um, it's cool to have like people supporting you, right? Like in whatever you're doing, and the hard part of the work, you're the last one to finish, or you're going for a PR, like whatever it is. I found that I really loved that, and that has carried over into like my type of training now. So like I said, I lift with my best friend all the time. When Josh is in town, I'm always like, all right, so what gym are we meeting at, and let's lift together, because it's fun to lift with like your friends.
Mhm.
um I can't think of, I don't like to do overhead stuff, like, maybe because my got my shoulder all fucked up, but I don't, anything overhead, I'm like, "No, it's not supposed to go there, not on my
Yeah.
body." It's not supposed to go there.
This isn't how it
So
works, guys.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it? What's your next move? So you're competing in the 90s right now. Are you going to stay in the 90s? Or are you going to continue on the way down? Or what's your near and long-term plan for your career?
Yeah, I told my husband, because when I diet, unfortunately, he also has to sort of diet too.
That
yeah,
poor bastard.
Right, I know. He's like, "Hey, can we go to Texas Roadhouse?" I'm like, "No, we can't,"
Uh,
because I can't. I told him that I would stick with 90 for the rest of the year. So I'm maintaining for now. I do eventually want to continue to cut and just like keep taking down weight classes. Like, I don't know what my long-term goal is. I think I'll know when I get there.
mhm.
Whether it's like 82 and a half, 75, like, I don't know. Um, I want to be healthy, and whatever that means for me is like, I know when I'll get there, like me and my doctor will
yes,
be able to like agree on that
that
together.
it has a lot
Um,
less to do with the weight, right? Like you
yeah,
don't know what it is because you don't know, you haven't felt it yet.
that's
Yeah.
right. Um, I want to like feel really good in the body that I'm in, and I think I'm getting there. Like, I can see a lot more like muscle definition. I'm like, whoa, those are cool. Like, where did those come from? So like that's something cool. So the rest of the year, like I'm cruising, like I'm gonna maintain around 90. It feels good right now. And so I'm competing at 90 in USAPL Raw Nats in, God, where is it this year? Atlanta. So June 29th is my next meet. And we'll see. I'm like, okay, now that I'm being refueled with calories responsibly, I'm no longer, eating 1,500 calories every day. We'll see how I feel. My training is going really well right now. I just squatted 330 for 7, which is pretty good. I remember like the first time I did it when I was like, God, probably like 110 kilos, and I was like, I'm so strong. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still kind of strong. Like it's still there. Um, and yeah, Josh is pushing me one more week this week of that. So I'm supposed to do 160 for 7. So we'll see how that goes. Um, and yeah, at 90, I'm cruising. I'm happy right now. I feel good. Like I can move. Like I can keep up with my dog when we go for walks and she wants to run a little bit. So 90 is the magic number for me right now.
Okay, cool. That's exciting. I'm
Yeah.
hoping to see some. I I am a big fan of the sport. Right, it's my whole like. You open up my Instagram, it's just powerlifting front to back. And so I look forward to seeing some shows,
Yeah.
some damage.
So one thing, because you
Yeah.
had talked about international level, are you just trying to do that in? I know the USAPL is trying to branch out to the national level, or is there like? I don't.
world
I
level?
guess I don't. Or sorry, international. I don't know if at that level. Obviously, at my level, if somebody went and did a Powerlift America meet, it's not that big of a deal because I'm not dealing with the staples of the sport. Like, is there at your level? Is there like a? Is that a naughty word, like to say Powerlifting America?
Yeah. Are you familiar with Article 14? Have you heard of that one? It's like
I know it's.
once
I know
you,
it's very very bad in the
yeah.
military.
It's
If
very
I
bad in the military.
if I go
Oh, that's in Article
to
15.
yeah, if I go to another federation, I can never come back to USAPL. So it's like if you
Oh,
leave
okay.
and go join like an IPF one, like you can't ever come back to USAPL. The issue is someone asked me this the other day, like, hey, would you ever join Powerlifting America? And I was like, hey, I just dropped 55 fucking pounds to what? Go be a super heavyweight again? Fuck no.
Over there, yeah.
Absolutely not. So like
And I know that
maybe,
USAPL is really trying to get into the international
yeah. I
game.
would, yeah, and like, who wouldn't want to compete internationally? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I had the
Right.
opportunity, if I was good enough and qualified, fuck yeah, I would go. Would I go to go be a super heavyweight still? No,
Yeah.
absolutely
Right.
not. But
Yeah.
if I get to 84 and I'm like, all right, now is the time. Like, I don't feel like necessarily, married to like a federation by any means. I will go where the opportunities present themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be really nice if, as a sport, they'd start putting more money back into athletes. Like it's always crazy to me that a couple last meet I went to, there was 80 people who signed up at $100 a pop or whatever,
Yeah.
so it's 80 grand. And I'm like, why isn't there like even if it was just $500 for the highest dot score or something, like just some kind of feedback to the athletes to keep them engaged.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really, doesn't really happen like I think it should.
I went to a regionals meet, I think it was last year, and I won best overall at that meet, and I got a certificate for merch. And it was not even like USAPL merch, it was like this guy's like gym merch. And I'm not like, it was fine merch, but I was like, this doesn't really feel like like I
A
paid
prize.
$120. I drove out to Appleton it was like Wisconsin, and I was like, this is not it, friends. Like, yeah, not it.
I did my math all wrong there. I think that was 8 grand.
It
Whatever.
was, I wasn't going to
Yeah.
call you anything.
Yeah, that's
It was
fine.
like,
I put too many
That's-
zeros on there.
Yeah.
he's not a math teacher, so
I am a math teacher. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
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 We're actually going to have, when you were in Appleton, did you lift at Limitless?
That was
You
it.
know?
Mhm.
Yep. He'll be on very shortly,
Nice.
hopefully.
Hopefully.
Quentin is his
Quentin was
name?
supposed to be
Yeah.
on. Yeah. He was supposed to be on. We had to reschedule, but very
Yeah.
cool guy.
I just saw
All right,
that he's oh sorry.
Go ahead.
He's
No, go
hosting
ahead.
the Olympia, the USAPL
Yeah.
Olympia meet in Las
Yeah.
Vegas. So ask him about
Vegas.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just did high school nationals.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, he's doing good. There's a paycheck.
Ooh, nice.
Big meat.
So before we wrap it up, I feel like I should ask one more time, just if you have advice, because again, spending 2 years in a deficit is hard. Like I've done, a year or whatever losing weight, and it wasn't a ton of fun to train during that period of time.
I haven't ate since lunch, and I'm a little grouchy.
I'm never gonna train again.
4 hours ago.
So, like, do you have any advice for people who are looking at that? They're thinking like, it would be good for me, like it'd be a good health choice for me to drop some weight classes. We know that you can only do so much and not lose your mind, right? And kind of the slower you burn, the better the outcome seems to be in the long run.
Mhm.
So, do you have any advice for dealing with the psychological burden of that? I mean, I know you've already mentioned your support network, right? Like being able to reach out to somebody. Do you have any other tools that you think are really important in terms of just your frame of mind for going through a long cut?
I journal a lot too. So I like to reflect on like how I'm feeling and like the highs and lows of like my weight trend. And that also really helps me of like, well, 2 weeks ago I was feeling pretty good. So like what
Mhm.
really has changed over the 2 weeks? I do want to touch back on like my support system. I have
Yeah.
friends that I will be like, I just need like a moment to crash out about this. Like, I need like 5 minutes from you for me to be crazy about this, and then we can move on. But I just need to like voice what I need to voice. And that is so incredibly powerful for me to like, if I don't acknowledge those feelings, I'm like, I feel like I'm not being true to myself. But then, like, once they've been acknowledged, of like, okay, and what is now fact? Like, what is still remaining, like, now that the dust has kind of settled? I think that is really helpful of like having someone that understands and kind of can receive the feelings. And my husband
Mhm.
is one of those people too. And he is a fixer. So like if I'm like, I this, and he's like, well, how many carbs? And I'm like, don't talk to me about carbs right now.
Yeah, you're here. You're here to listen,
That's right.
not to
Yeah.
fix.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in the feelings phase, not
Yeah.
the solution
That
phase.
that. And so like
We've
he's
both been married a long time.
yeah.
We definitely understand
Yes.
what's going on there. Like,
Yeah. So he's learned that and knows how to support me in that way too of like, okay, she's not ready for like a solution right now. Like she just needs
Uh-huh.
someone to listen to her. So I think that is really powerful. And I will say that like I never deny myself something that I want. So if I'm like, damn, I really want a little Debbie cake, I will work it into my calories. I might be hungry for the rest of the day, but I think
Uh-huh.
that is like what causes like a really unhealthy relationship with like calories and like counting things and restricting yourself um is like saying like, oh well, I can't have this food. Maybe not, it's not a good idea to have it all the time, but like I'm not going to say never. Like if my husband
Yeah.
and I want to go to the movies, like I'm going to get popcorn, I'll track
yes,
it and I'll be over my
it's so
calories, but
much.
yeah.
It's so much more likely that you're going to have success long term
Yeah.
If
if
there's
you're
a little
because
flexibility.
That.
if there's a little flexibility, then it's just something that happens. You
Yeah.
okay? I had popcorn. I had a little Debbie. If there's no flexibility,
Yeah.
when you have that little Debbie snack or popcorn, which you're freaking gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a meltdown.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, then it's done. And
Yeah.
most of the time, that's when people just get off the diet and they
Yeah.
swing back up.
Yeah. In the same like kind of thought of that is like consistency of like if you're gonna track everything. Someone messaged me recently and was like, oh, I don't even weigh my vegetables, and I was like, okay, well that's what you do, and I'm gonna weigh my vegetables. And he was like, but
They
it takes me.
also
Yeah.
they
Go ahead.
also count potatoes as a vegetable.
Yes. I'm like, and that's why I'm not, yeah,
Vegetable oil.
like I'm not taking diet advice from you, right? Like
Uh-huh.
and this is what works for me. And when I only had 1,500 calories, I had to, because
Yeah.
140 grams of lettuce is 20 calories. It adds up over
Yeah.
time. Don't listen to like what anybody else is saying. Like do what's working for you. You have like your support group of people. If you have a professional like helping you, go to them for advice. I would not like source from the internet and be like, hey, how did you lose weight? Because everybody wants like a magic answer, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I just stopped drinking soda.
Well, and I know a lot of people look at the idea of hiring a dietitian or something and think like that's a big expense.
Yeah.
But if you think about like you might only need to talk to them once every 6 months or
Yeah.
once a year. Like they might be able to set you up and you can just roll for a long time and think
Yeah.
about how much better, how much happier you'll be if you spend 6 months that's productive instead of spending 6 months that's unproductive and then going and, like getting some extra support. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't hurt to reach out to find somebody who knows what's going on and get some support.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, I had one of my last sessions with Michael, and he was like, hey, have you ever thought of just like putting strawberries in like your yogurt or like whatever? And I was like, oh, like, I was like, no, I have actually never thought of that. And like, it was like life changing for me. And he was like, it was truly such a simple thing. I told him, and he was like, it's just like, no, no. And I was like, yeah, but it changed my life. So thank you
Yeah.
for changing my
Yeah.
life with strawberries.
Well, and you don't realize how much you miss that variety. Like, you can put a little bit of strawberries or a little bit of raspberries or a little bit of blueberries in your yogurt, and it's like 4 calories. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to make a huge difference.
Right.
And like psychologically, it makes it so much easier to get
Yeah.
through. Like I always plan my deficits like 200 calories below what I'm going to eat, so I can just have a glass of chocolate milk or something every. Like, there's some wiggle room in my diet that's just bullshit.
Yeah.
But like I do it because otherwise I'll do what he said. I'll crash out and I'll
Yeah.
go buy all the Reese's at the gas station.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you'll fuck up 2.5 weeks
Yeah.
in 25 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've always been a big eater. Like, they talk about like this, strongman dudes talk about how hard it is to eat like 10,000 calories a day. And I'm like, I could do that. When I did track, I would journal all my food, and it was like 7,500 calories a day was my normal thing, So, like, yeah, it's easy. It's a lot easier, I think, than people think it is to like really blow. Like, if I were to eat 7,000 calories right now, it's 2 weeks of weight loss that I've just unwound,
Right.
Like, yeah. Okay, so support system, huge. Little bit of help sometime, huge.
Yeah. Consistency, just doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Letting your support system know that you just need somebody to vent to.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to fix my problem.
That's a relationship advice.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's not most of the time. Sometimes people will come for an answer, but most of the time, I just need to get this off my chest. Even sometimes, like, I'm a 37-year-old man. I'm a veteran. I like manly shit. Sometimes I just need to vent, and I know that I'm kind of bitching, right? Like, I'm just bitching, but I just need to bitch a little bit. Just listen to me bitch.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to make any crazy decisions. Just shit ain't going good.
Yeah.
I just want to bitch, and then I'll be done. Just listen to me bitch.
Yeah.
A couple times a day. That's it.
Journaling.
Journaling.
So that's good. Yeah. And then if you're competing, showing up at being at weight a month ahead of time. Don't make it a crush.
I'll never do it again.
Anything else? Any other pearls? Any other words of wisdom?
Yeah, the other one is just like the flexibility to like allow yourself the food. Don't ever deny yourself the food that you want, just like within reason. If you want French fries, work them into your macros, work them into your calories for the day. And if you go over, like, it's not the end of the world. The thing that I often remind myself when I'm like, oh my God, this sucks, and like my weight was up, it's like, okay, and we have to keep going. Like, you just have to soldier on, because that's how weight loss works. Like, you can't just be like, one bad day and I'm done. Weight loss takes time. Like, you have to be patient. So like that's probably like my last one, is just like, keep doing it. Like, if it's your goal, keep doing it.
Yeah, you see there's a million 6-week or 12-week transformations. They're all bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't get it. It's not waterfront in Louisiana. It's swamp. Like, don't. I used to manage a gym ages ago, and I'd have people come in and they'd be like, I want to be in shape for like my kid's wedding in 10 weeks. And I'm like, we can definitely get you like,
into a shape.
We can get you in 10 weeks shape, right?
Yeah.
But like, how long did it take you to get out of shape? And they're like, oh God, 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I think we can get you in good shape in less than 10 years. But like, it's not going to be, you're not going to show up looking like a fitness model in 10 weeks.
At that gym, I know you guys had tanning booths. Like, did you ever just go like, listen, you're better off just getting a tan. Just take a walk and
Mask
get a tan.
it.
That's probably as good as you're going to get. You're not making life-changing changes in 10 weeks.
But I had a lot of people, because I'm big on weights, like I really value what you can get from them and stuff. So like, we'd have a lot of people where it'd be a little bit of cardio and a little bit of weights. And then they'd be like, that scale hasn't moved in 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you literally told me you had to buy a new belt because all your pants were falling off. Like, it's okay. Like, we are, again, it's another thing we tell people all the time is, if you woke up tomorrow and you looked exactly the same and you got on the scale and it said your dream number, would you be happy? Right? Like, your dream number would just move. It would just move 40 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever, right? Like, you just have a different dream number all of a sudden. Like, you really care more about the way you look, and you look better, so just keep doing it.
Yeah.
You're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, did we do it? Do we have anything else? Did we miss anything?
I had like 9 other questions.
Did you?
Yeah. I need like a person over here that I could whisper to.
You know, I do paper and pencil.
No, I would rather have a person. Just hire a full-time employee that I could whisper.
Just out of frame.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, like their hip comes into the picture and then gets back out again. Don't stand like that.
Josh, remember your question.
All right.
But no, so this is. I'm hoping we did.
Yeah, no, we'll say goodbye to everybody, but stay on. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. Again, like, comment, subscribe, share. Helps out the show a ton. We really appreciate it.